ONGC this year has dug the maximum number of wells after 37 years, 500 wells. So it costs money, and most people are reluctant to go down that road because if you're head of a outfit or a company, OMC, for only 6 months, you'll say, let me deploy the money in the profits of the quarter rather than in drilling. But now things are changing, and I'm very confident that we'll find many more oil fields.
When you shared a very proud moment that India has for the first time found oil in Krishna Godavari basin as well.
This is work in progress. When I made this statement about the Krishna Godavari basin, at that point of time, that was one place. Now we have found green shoots oil in several other places. And I think it's only a matter of time before we find a big Guyana in the Andaman Sea. So that is ongoing. See, the point is that between 2006 and 16, we didn't do anything.
Gee.
And then after that, we started changing policies. We moved from production sharing to revenue sharing arrangement. We've opened up 1 million square kilometers out of the 3.5 million square kilometers of sedimentary basin. So India is now serious about E&P, and it's only a matter of time, apart from these little discoveries which are coming, which could turn out to be very big also, that we find a Guyana, and then you will go from $5-7 trillion economy to a $20 trillion economy straight away.
One Punjabi song that Mr. Hardeep Puri wants to listen again and again at his home.
I'm hard put on that. I know so many Punjabi songs.
I'll make it easier. Delete the songs, Balkeet Singh or anyone else. One light-hearted abuse you want to ever give to Pakistanis in Punjabi.
No, not fair.
Your favorite turban color.
Don't have a say in it. She decides.
One Punjabi food that you want to have Delhi in your plate.
I know, I've given up on that. I've lost 10 kilos, and good quality Amritsar ke chole bhature is not part of it. None of the Punjabi stuff is a part of the, culinary.
Your favorite Gurbani or the hymns or any other verses? Japji Sahib, Dukhmani, Sukhmani or anything?
Japji Sahib.
Which Gurdwara that you always want to visit but could not, but maybe you would?
No, I visited all the Gurdwaras.
3 books that shaped your mind in future and that continue to be your firm favorites.
Again, it's very difficult. I am now 73 years old. I've read hundreds of books. I still read.
Any particular author?
I would put Nassim, Nicholas Taleb there. And I think some of his books have fantastic impact. I'd be failing in my duty if I didn't say Swallowing the Sun, certainly a very important work. And I hope you underline that I said that.
His own innings coincided with that of the rise of Prime Minister Narendra Modi in 2013 when he was serving in the United Nations. He started his career as a full-time career diplomat, but he continues to be the prominent Sikh face in Prime Minister Modi's cabinet for almost 8 years now. Joining me today is Union Minister for Petroleum and Natural Gas, Hardeep Singh Puri, as his party celebrates the 11 years of the Modi government. Welcome to the show, Mr. Puri. It's actually been a privilege following your career all these years, not just as the prominent Sikh personality who went on to ratchet up prominent positions, monumental feats outside India, but also within India for the last 11 years or so. Of course, Mr. Puri, as I ask you this first question, it's also very close to me personally because having been raised as a kid of a Sikh mother, I find it very astonishing and also very surprising that Prime Minister has maintained a very steadfast approach for the sentiments of protecting the sentiments of Sikhs. Mr. Puri, I want to ask you this question. When we look at the identity of the Sikhs in this country, the role of Sikhs fighting the barbarism of Mughals centuries ago when Guru Nanak Dev Ji came here, tumultuous times of Operation Blue Star, and also the carnage, the pogrom, which has left scars inside people like you and me when we look at the 80s. What is it that the identity of Sikh mean to you today under Modi in this India?
Well, thank you very much. I think you've pointed in the direction of something which is not complicated, but which needs to be looked at in its historical perspective. When you talk about the Sikh identity, I think in a sense you are referring to the establishment of the Khalsa, which is the 10th Guru's contribution. The previous 9 Gurus prior to that establishment, the Sikh identity, which is the identity you see in the Sikhs today, turban, long hair, kada, kirpan, the 5Ks, etc. Why was Sikhism given that identity? I think it was more in the context of the preservation and protection of the Hindu religion. That's where it started. So now to claim that the Sikh identity is opposed to the Hindu identity, I find that very difficult to understand. For political reasons, some people come and pass that on. I think it is the Hindu religion, its protection. You yourself referred to the Mughals. I even put a timeline on it. I mean, when you're talking about Guru Nanak, yes, 550 years ago. When you're talking about the 10th Guru, you're talking about 300 years ago.
Right.
In that vicinity, my family's had the proud privilege of caring for one of the Guru Sahib's. So I would call it a legacy for 300 years. I don't talk about it very often, and I'm still not ready to talk about it. But I think Guru Gobind Singh Ji was not just a Sikh Guru. He was something much more. He was a national, and that's why he's held in such reverence at today. Today, I think what the Honorable Prime Minister has done, I mean, a lot of people have talked about it, but he has single-handedly looked at each of the issues which, in a sense, affect the Sikh identity.
Such as?
And I give you a long example. I mean, what have been the demands? I mean, don't want some are purely religious demands, and though they have also been responded to. For instance, the two countries, Pakistan and India, were born from the womb of the same mother in 1947, and ultimately you had these boundary lines drawn through a cartographer. Somebody took a map and drew a line out. So some of the areas of Sikh pilgrimage are on that side, some are this side.
Ji.
Dera Baba Nanak is on one side, then
Right.
Kartarpur Sahib was on the other side.
Correct.
Okay, Nankana Sahib on the other side. So
Right.
there was a long-standing demand, and at least bulk of the period when I was growing up, I thought this will always remain a demand. But lo and behold, along came Mr. Modi, and we opened a corridor between the two sides. Earlier, used to pay obeisance to the Gurdwara Sahib by looking at a long telescope, and you could see this thing. Today, you have a corridor, people go across, etc. I can give you several others.
Right.
I mean, I think we have it's all been documented in a booklet.
Right.
And whether it is, langar on the GST on langar seva, whether it is, other specific demands, removal of the blacklist from the 1984 context.
Right.
But more than that, I think the Prime Minister has genuinely tried to reach out to the Sikh community and to them as productive members of our society.
Right.
And to see what best we can do.
Right.
I think to a large extent that is an issue which has been addressed. There will always be residual demands. Some of them are misplaced. I would say some of them are also deliberately contrived. And separatism or, that kind of a sentiment that is fueled from elsewhere.
Correct.
If you ask any Sikh, I mean, we are a very proud minority. If you look at our size as a percentage of the overall population, it will be less than 2%. Yet if you look at the contribution of Sikhs to the armed forces, to the gallantry awards they win, to national life, I think the regrettable problem is that part of the problem is that Punjab as a state has suffered a governance deficit. I was in Punjab yesterday. I must say I got this uneasy feeling. I travel around the country. This is a state which seems to have been left behind.
Correct. Which is why, I mean, of course, my second question to you is, now that we are celebrating the 11 years of Modi government, you have represented this government as not just as a Rajya Sabha MP, but several big portfolios where Prime Minister reposed a lot of trust, faith inside you. Whether it is civil aviation at one era for 2 years, then petroleum and natural gas now, and earlier housing and development. I want to actually ask you today a very, very poignant question for the viewers, and especially those who have followed you particularly over the last 20 years, maybe career diplomats or otherwise. What are the anecdotes, Mr. Puri, and the absorbing memories of your own interaction with the Prime Minister each time you attended his cabinet meeting, whenever he would suggest an idea to you or whenever you would propose an idea? What were those anecdotes
See,
about?
first of all, I don't think it would be correct to look at anecdotes in cabinet meetings. Modern day cabinets, the Westminster style cabinet form of democracy, these are very structured. You know, before you go into a cabinet meeting, different levels have looked at the cabinet agenda item, which agenda item is coming up. You have a cabinet note circulated. So that doesn't leave much. But, you know, many of us, I've been a member of the cabinet for Council of Ministers and cabinet now for what, 8 years nearly.
Correct.
And I've had the privilege of an association with the Prime Minister even before that. He is a very one of a kind person. He is very focused. He is very thoughtful. He pursues in his own mind and in whatever he is doing very clearly defined objectives. I mean, I can tell you one incident. I met him at a farewell lunch that Mr. Arun Jaitley hosted for me when I was leaving for the United Kingdom when I was going as Deputy High Commissioner. And Modi ji then told me that you're going to London, मैं आऊँगा. I'll come and visit you. This was the year, I think, 1999. I was going there in the beginning, first quarter of 1999. Well, I finished my tenure in London. I didn't have the privilege of receiving him. He had meanwhile become Chief Minister of Gujarat. But when I went from there as ambassador to the UN in Geneva, I got a call from him. He said, you know, I told you I will come. I mean, he has a very sharp memory. But मैं अभी Geneva आ रहा. And he came to Geneva for a purpose. He came to collect the ashes of one of our freedom fighters, Shyamji Kishanji Verma. And I must say, I hosted him. He was then the Chief Minister of Gujarat. I was just an ambassador, etc. And I remember my interaction even then. He was solely focused on the job at hand. He had said that, you know, the freedom fighters, those who give their lives should be honored in the country, brought the ashes back. I organized a small function there, received him, hosted him. And so on. If I recall the incidents, I got a call from Sanjay Bhavasar ji one day when I was in Sri Lanka, and he said, साहब बात करेंगे. So मैंने कहा बात करवाइए the phone. He said नहीं आपको आना पड़ेगा. I understood. I said मैं आ रहा हूँ, मैं अभी बाहर हूँ. I went. Matter of fact, he turned around and told me कि I told him why I was in Sri Lanka for a IOM Indian Ocean conference. He gave me a patient listening. I'm not entirely sure whether it was of any interest to him, but then he told me कल सुबह आ जाना, इकट्ठा नाश्ता करेंगे, फिर आपको राष्ट्रपति भवन ले जाएंगे, आपको शपथ दिलाएंगे और बाद में आपको मंत्रिमंडल में ले आएंगे और बाद में राज्यसभा में ले आएंगे. I nearly fell off my chair. So, you know, these are things you recall over a period of time. Very often people ask me, how often do you meet the Prime Minister? I said, I meet him every week, but it's work related. There are occasions when I have needed to seek guidance on a one-to-one basis.
Right.
He is very generous with his time. You get an appointment with him very quickly, and it's very much focused, and you get decisions.
Right.
Some people have asked me, you know, how does it happen? Well, one of the answers I gave to in an interview like this, I said, in the nearly 8 years I've been a minister, not once have I got ever any suggestion from him or any other part of the government, I mean at a senior level, that, you know, something should be done in order to favor somebody or not. It's not a government that functions like that.
Right.
So it's a government which strictly follows, you know, prescribed decorum and this thing. And I would say, I think this would be incomplete without referring to his personal hard work and commitment. I mean, here is a person who works non-stop. And also, I'm very fond of citing one incident. He came back after a 15-hour journey from the United States, and within an hour he went to, incognito to witness and examine the work that was going on in the Parliament building, new one that
Central
was
Vista.
under construction. So, anyone who has that kind of stamina, etc., and I don't think other than the work and the objectives he said, he has any other interests.
Correct. Mr. Puri, I also very vividly recollect from your social media profiles and your interactions with the media last year, you were very buoyant and very excited about the fact when you shared a very proud moment that India has for the first time found oil in Krishna Godavari basin as well. The clips went viral, of course, because of its monumental feat. Now, your ministry now today contributes, I believe, 19 to 20% of
My
India's
OMCs contribute 19 to 20%.
20% of the revenue. Do you think that India, with such drilling activities, as Trump once said, drill baby drill, can actually surpass its current achievements, or would we continue to?
No. This is work in progress. When I made this statement about the Krishna Godavari basis, at that point of time, that was one place. Now we have found green shoots oil in several other places. And I think it's only a matter of time before we find a big Guyana in the Andaman Sea. So that is ongoing. See, the point is that between 2006 and 16, we didn't do anything.
Gee.
And then after that, we started changing policies. We moved from production sharing to revenue sharing arrangement. We've opened up 1 million square kilometers out of the 3.5 million square kilometers of sedimentary basin. And today,
Which was earlier a no-go area.
Yeah, no-go area. We've opened that up. 38% of the bids in OALP, Open Acreage Licensing Policy Round 9,
Right.
came in that 1 million square kilometer.
Right.
And I think about 80% of the bids which will come in the 10th round will come there. We've opened up the largest bid ever, 250,000 square kilometers in the 10th round. So India is now serious about ENP, and it's only a matter of time, apart from these little discoveries which are coming, which could turn out to be very big also, that we find a Guyana, and then you will go from, a $5-7 trillion economy to a $20 trillion economy straight away.
So you reckon that, I mean, of course, beyond what we found in KG Basin and Andaman, there are more green shoots?
100%. It costs a lot of money. In Guyana, they dug 43 or 44 wells, each costing $100 million. It's on the 47th one that they found it. Here, ONGC this year has the highest number after 37 years, 500 wells. So it costs money, and most people are reluctant to go down that road because, if you're head of a outfit or a company, OMC, for only 6 months, you'll say, let me deploy the money in the profits of the quarter rather than in drilling. But now things are changing, and I'm very confident that we'll find many more oil fields.
Very, very quickly also move to the iconic bill that you brought it up this year as well. I mean, of course, I followed it very with a lot of interest in this, the Oil Fields Regulation and Development Amendment. I was present on that day as well. I want to understand directly from you today, sir, that how is this going to benefit the private companies as well? Because, of course, there were a lot of problems, question marks in terms of the definition of minerals as well. But this bill aims
to rectifies that.
It rectifies that. It helps to solve the problems and also achieving the goals for those private companies in terms of the no objection certificates, which they could not earlier. So, have we already succeeded?
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. You see, the problem was that the previous bill, previous legislation, which is 1948 vintage, was covering both minerals, traditional minerals, coal and other minerals, and petroleum leases. It was covering everyone. So then the confusion rose. This bill will bring certainty, predictability. It will also, it clarifies on the newer fuels. And, some of the practices that the executive could indulge in will not be possible anymore.
Right.
So I think it's a very far-sighted thing. And by the way, the bill has been brought after large-scale interaction with industry players. And then the rules and regulations that we are implementing under that, they are also subject to public consultation. And our approach now is, look, if there's something more that wants to be done, please let us know.
Correct.
We'd be happy to.
I'll be wearing the hat of a devil's advocate, sir. Of course, I want to ask you this critical question that touches the lives of people in villages and rural hinterlands. I have followed the launch of Ujjwala a decade ago. I was present in UP as a very strong journalist. Ground reports मेरी होती थी वहाँ से. मेरा बड़ा तजुर्बा रहा बलिया में और देवरिया में घूमने का. और मैं आपको सच बताऊं तो जब मैं देवरिया गया आपकी स्कीम की लॉन्च के बाद उज्ज्वला, मुझे वहाँ की लेडीज़ ने ये बोला कि अब हम ये भी चाहते हैं कि मर्द आके हमारी किचन में खाना बनाए जब कुकिंग गैस स्टोव वहाँ पे पहुँचे. एंड दैट वाज द हेडलाइन ऑफ माय स्टोरी एज वेल. बट समथिंग व्हिच baffles me is also the fact that at one stage when your government was to come to power, 14.2 kg cylinder at that time was causing a mammoth 1000 plus. Today, of course, the rates have declined. They declined, I mean, of course, in 2016, 500 odd, 600 odd. Now also it's much below than it was in 2013, जब 1000 से ऊपर थे, आज 800 के. तो वो जो फ्लक्चुएशन जो है सर वो क्यों रहती है इतनी ज़्यादा? उसका क्या रीज़न है?
LPG or a cylinder gas is a product which is produced from the refinery, and the refinery uses crude oil. Crude oil international prices keep going up and down.
Right.
Today they are luckily low, but the fact of the matter is, 1 year ago our oil marketing companies incurred a loss of 28,000 crores because of the fact that we are supplying gas cylinders cheap. We had to pay back 22,000 crores.
Right.
So this year they have incurred a loss. This means the last year they've incurred a loss of 40,000 crores. So they expect us to pay us back. Now, the popular perception is a simplistic one. I don't blame people. Are international prices गिर गई coal की इसलिए ये भी कम कर दो. You add to the cost of extracting a barrel, you add the cost of freight, insurance, the dollar exchange rate, the refining margin, the a dealer's margin. When you put all of it together, then you get a price for petrol at the thing, and the refining product also. The other problem is that the price of gas internationally, in a sense, is determined by something called by the Saudi contact price, which has been very high.
Right.
So now we are trying to buy from elsewhere, etc. So there are a number of factors. But I think the good news is that the number of cylinders have gone up from 14 crores to 33 crores. Ujjwala, which you attended in 2016, now is 10 crores, 30 lakhs. And bulk of the cylinders earlier were in the urban sector. Ujjwala, 80% of the cylinders given are in the rural area. So things are happening.
Correct. Similar question I also want to ask you about petrol prices. I mean, of course, during Vajpayee's era, we started with something like rupees 34, then it shot up to, in Manmohan's era, 76, 78. You guys brought it down, of course, in 2014 onwards, but 64.38 was the 2016 price. But then there were, of course, fluctuation between 70s, 80s, and today, I mean, it keeps fluctuating between 90, 100 in some states.
Wherever there are BJP state governments and they have reduced their VAT, it's likely about 95 or so, I think, cost of a litre of petrol.
So, I mean, of course, BJP's rule states are taking care of this, but of course, Congress rule states...
So they make noise, but they don't bring their VAT down.
Of course, sir, with oil, I also want to ask you a very specific question because you have made umpteen references to Russia as well. Now, India's total imports, I have the statistics for crude oil, fell by 11% in April, but Russian volumes account for almost 40%.
38% or so.
38%. What's the reason for this?
No, it's a very simple explanation. We means the government doesn't import oil. It's the oil marketing companies which import oil. And the oil marketing companies will typically float a tender at the point of importation. And they will say, we need so much of crude oil, and people will send quotations. Whoever is cheapest will get it. Simple as that.
Now, something very personal to you. Your government has enjoyed a very taint-free, corruption-free image, which everybody knows that for 11 years, there was an era of scams which all of us broke at certain stages, whether Augusta Westland or Pawan Bansal Gate and blah. You personally faced some sort of a scrutiny by a man called Saket Gokhale.
Not me, my wife, yeah. Me also, yeah.
Correct. Now, the court directs him to pay a certain penalty after finding him, which we all have reported extensively. He wavers at one stage, then creates some sort of an ambiguity around it. Some day he says, I'll pay. Other days he says he won't pay.
No, it's a very simple thing. There are two aspects to it. One is an apology, and second, 50 lakh that he has to pay. But let me underline, since you've raised this issue, this 50 lakh is not for a demand that my wife Lakshmi has made. She said that 50 lakhs will go to charity.
Correct.
And she has told the court it will go to charity. Of course, she made me sign a check for 5 lakhs, which is because if you sign for 5 lakhs, you deposit, then you'll get 50 back. So I'm very happy with that 5 lakhs I spent, and she can whenever she's by the way she's well to do, unlike me, so she can pay me that 5 lakhs later. I'll give that to charity also. But the main issue is that we want to ensure that this kind of behavior doesn't go unchecked or unpunished.
Correct.
So repeatedly he sorted out degrees. One day he was told either you apologize or you face civil action, which is imprisonment also. So we leave it to him. The rest is matter is sub judice. I'm not going to say anything. But the issue is that he's facing the courts. Let him answer.
Do you think his party should now come to his rescue?
I'm not
they
suggesting
have
anything.
washed their hands off.
I'm not suggesting anything. Yeah.
Right. Of course, sir, one important question is now that we see 25 almost MPs, Punjabis, Sikhs in Canada under the new government as well. There was one time when Congress government of Amrinder refused to meet the then Defence Minister Hardeep Sajjan on the charges of being a Khalistani sympathizer. How do you today foresee the ties cementing between India and Canada now that there is also
it's
an
not
invitation
just
of G7?
captains are refusing to meet Harjeet, the defence minister. I was sent by the Honourable Prime Minister to accompany, or rather to receive Prime Minister Trudeau when he came to Amritsar, and I was sent by the Prime Minister, and the Punjab government had sent Navjot Sidhu. And Captain Saab didn't want to meet him. I had to sit with him, and I said, well, this is not about you individually. So I was able to use my margin of persuasion with him, and he met Prime Minister Trudeau. Look, the people in Punjab are very angry because of this encouragement that he's giving to these elements. But everything in history is not static. Things come, change, number of Sikh ministers. I was at a lunch which the Prime Minister hosted, since you're asking for anecdotes, and I was at table with several of these Sikh ministers. So there's one minister, I think his name was Benz. So he was telling me, at a young age I went to Canada, I studied there, I'm very lucky, I became a minister. So I couldn't resist the temptation. I said, oh, I'm very happy to see that you are lucky you became a minister there. I said, I stayed back in India and became a minister here. So I had a good laugh. And by the way, I was also in the Foreign Service for 39 years.
Right.
So, I don't think any situations with any country, whether in the neighborhood or elsewhere, these remain static. These things will happen. I'm sure a newly elected government in Canada, of course, it will have to navigate through its internal, what do you call, landmines. But things will get back.
And of course, the G7 invitation has come.
Yes, of course.
One last question, sir. Then we move on to the rapid fire. PM Modi's trust among bureaucrats is unmistakable. To tap their energy is also unmatched. I have followed and have spoken to him at this question as well in the interview. The way he inducted you, Mr. Jaishankar, Ajay Bhallaji, A.K. Sharma into UP as well. What does this actually teach us about him? That he knows...
No, he gets very upset if as a minister you treat a civil servant or anyone in a rough manner. I think Modi ji is much more than a leader. He has several qualities which I can only describe as spiritual. I mean, he's a very good teacher. He has a very calming, in fact. Unlike political leaders who do a lot of talking, he does a lot of listening. And he inspires trust.
Right.
If he were to, and he doesn't need to give explicit, instruction.
Correct.
Once I remember Jaishankar ji told me that many years ago, I was not even a minister, he said, we are a government that operates on sign language. When you're with a Prime Minister, and I agree with that. Prime Minister sometimes doesn't need to spell it out. He will say something, then you can decipher. But that is it shows a very positive, evolved human being in that.
Correct. So we enter into rapid fire now, very quickly. One Punjabi song that Mr. Hardeep Puri wants to listen again and again at his home.
I'm hard put on that. I know so many Punjabi songs, but there's no one particular. If you suggest one, I would maybe endorse it.
Okay, I'll make it easier. Diljit Dosanjh, Balkeet Singh, or anyone else?
Again, I'm equally partial to all of them.
Your favorite turban color?
No, I wear different colors every day. and my wife gives them to me depending on the day. On Monday it's blue, Tuesday, tomorrow it'll be brown or red, Wednesday will be green, Thursday will be mauve. I don't have a say in it. She decides.
Your favorite Gurbani or the hymns or any other verses? Japji Sahib, Dukh Manni, Sukh Manni or anything?
Japji Sahib.
Which Gurdwara that you always want to visit but could not, but maybe you would?
No, I visited all the Gurdwaras. I wish I could go more often. I've been very fortunate. I have been to Gurdwara Sahibs in India, outside the country. And I've been very fortunate in the sense that, especially my travels in the last 8 years have taken me to places which I would normally have not been privileged to go to.
3 books that shaped your mind in future and that continue to be your firm favorites.
Again, it's very difficult. I am now 73 years old. I've read hundreds of books. I still read. I keep up with knowledge.
Any particular author?
No, I have personal friendships, So, in amongst my personal friends who are world-class authors, very well-known, I would put Nassim, Nicholas Taleb there. And I think some of his books have fantastic impact. I don't know which one you could lift.
And maybe your wife's recent book?
No, I'm coming to that. I think out of Nassim's books, Anti-Fragile, no. Probably one might, even the others are very this thing. Oh yes, I'd be failing in my duty if I didn't say Swallowing in the Sun, certainly very important work, and I hope you underline that I said that. So I mean, I wouldn't say a voracious reader because I would like to be, but I work an 18 hours day, 7 days a week. At least one day I like to take, as a good Sikh, half a day off to wash my hair and train. But I have colleagues, young colleagues, some of them are sitting here. They don't even allow me to do that. But otherwise, but I wish I could take to more reading.
One famous author, Khushwant Singh, once said that for the Sikhs, entire Sunday is dedicated to washing their hair.
No, that's an exaggeration. Much of what Khushwant said or did was, I like some of his habits. When he invited somebody for dinner, he invited them at 7 o'clock and then by 8:30 expected them 9 o'clock. So I do that. I invite people at 7:30, serve dinner early, and by 9:30, 10, I always tell them, and this is not drawing inspiration from Khushwant Singh, it's basically the time management dynamic of anyone who has to work an 18 hours day.
Right. One Punjabi food that you want to have Delhi in your plate?
I know, I've given up on that. I've lost 10 kilos and good quality Amritsar ke chole bhature is not part of it. Even the chicken I eat a lot of protein. I have air fried stuff, fish and chicken. None of the Punjabi stuff is a part of the, culinary fare these days.
One light-hearted abuse you want to ever give to Pakistanis in Punjabi?
No, it's not fair.
So that was Hardeep.
They're not fair. That's not fair. That's not fair. Thank you.
It was a pleasure speaking to you, sir.
Thank you.
That was Hardeep Puri ji speaking to us on the 11 years of the completion of Modi government and many more years to come. Thanks so much, sir.
Thank you.